Well, hello there. Welcome back to the AEW Dynamite review here on the Bi-Conics Wrestling Podcast. You should know us by now, but if you don't, we're very happy you're here and new. We have our lovely Mikey, who's holiday up in the Nightmare Before Christmas hat there on the ones and twos. Hefe, I am so happy to see you, especially because we know you're dealing with a blackout of sorts in your region there.
Yeah, did you anger Tony Khan? He took your electricity away?
No, I offered Tony Khan to write for him. I feel that this is my fault. I think, just happened. They're like, the wrestling gods are like, we're going to give you a blackout. Maybe because I wish I blacked out instead of watching this Dynamite this week.
I see what you did there.
Before we get to those spicy things, we also have the professor here, who is still not locked in a locker anymore. You're live and in person.
I'm no longer in a locker. Hooray! I'm wearing my Ghostbusters cardigan, which I can only wear like 6 weeks out of the year because it's finally much cold outside.
I'm wearing Star Wars. I'm like wearing the dark and gray Stormtrooper stuff.
I got a Star Wars Christmas sweater. I could have worn that.
So good. And I am
Heroes
JBL,
and villains,
of course.
man.
I am JBL, of course, here to host us through. Not repping anything nerdy at this point, just my Abaddon t-shirt, because who's the best? The Living Dead Girl. So we're going to leave her alone.
Weren't you wearing that last week?
I was. I never change, actually. I had to get out of my sweatier clothes tonight because I just came straight from the opening night of my show to be here with all of you to go over AEW Dynamite. Winter is coming, and boy, did it come. All over our eyes and our ears and all these other places. I have never been so doused in warm, sticky, unfortunate liquid than I have watching this.
Well, there goes our monetization.
It's okay.
Really? I don't think so.
I'm just kidding.
I have not said anything there.
That was more exciting.
It was more exciting. We've watched a thing. And gentlemen, I think we're going to have to talk about it because group therapy is the best way to deal with trauma. And this was indeed some trauma.
So, and the internet's exploding because a lot of folks did not like it, obviously. But the internet's kind of jaded because they don't like anything. So part of me is still kind of like, yeah, maybe you're being harsh. But then I went and rewatched it this afternoon while I was not grading papers like I should have been. And just a lot of, we'll get into this, but as an overall thing, like we were talking just before, even the great Simon Miller was trying to positively spin as much as Simon Miller could and did a pretty good job. But even in the end, Simon Miller was like, and what do I do now?
He prefaced it too with I try my best to be really on top of these things, but unfortunately, even I can't save this. So
yeah,
we'll get into it because this, I mean, it started off so big and strong. You had Samoa Joe coming out to address the rumors of what's going on, and he knows who it is. He's bringing out, and he says the devil has got to be Hangman Page, and Hangman Page, because it's the magic of wrestling, is already there, backed by the audio guy going, you hear my name and I'm called the devil, you hit play on my music because I'm going out. Full pyro, everything else, I'm coming. Down comes Adam Page. They get into it about the fact that Joe is not accusing, he is the executioner. He has made his decision. And we then transition to Roddy Strong, who's coming down and becoming one of my favorite things of yelling people's names. Samoa!
Which, in my head, when you're just yelling that, you want cookies from the Girl Scouts. That doesn't come off to me as... If you had yelled Joe, that would have made more sense to me instead of Samoa. I thought that was funny. I again, we talked about this last week. I think Next Strong is going to work. I think this should be the rest of his career. Like I talked last week, like wrestle, have no neck problems. When the match is over, put that right back on my neck. So I love this whodunit feel. I don't hate it. And we'll talk about how this book ends a little bit later with the whole Night of Dynamite. Roderick Strong comes out, starts accusing MJF of the thing. Adam Page says, I don't care. I feel what's hard is if this match and Roderick Strong yelling Samoa is kind of the peak and we're 5 minutes in, there's something weird going on.
It was a weird night. Mikey, did you enjoy having this kind of more setup of storyline, kind of diving into it? Samoa Joe insulting Adam Page with, it smelled like Stetsons and broken dreams. And I've smelled that before.
Listen, anytime Samoa Joe gets on the mic, I'm thoroughly entertained. I was just like, Joe is one of the best mic workers that AEW has on their roster right now.
Oh, easily.
And listen, Joe and Hangman, if we ever get that match, is something I want to see. But unfortunately, we still have to continue on in the MJF void of a storyline, even when your champion is not physically there, because we got to sell that he got attacked. Listen.
I'm listening.
How harsh do I want to be? I'm going to be really harsh.
Mikey,
are we spicy, Mikey, already?
We are spicy, Mikey, already. Mikey's had a day. Bring it out, Mikey. Just blast it.
Mikey,
I just don't understand. When, again, we got to suspend our disbelief a little bit because we're watching professional wrestling, right? But come on, does nobody did somebody take too many concussions to the head? Are we not that smart? Listen, here's the thing.
Wow.
I've watched way too many crime shows.
Mikey, such anger.
Joe's like, oh my gosh, Hangman attacked him because there was a beer bottle. I'm like, you could get that anywhere. Let's be 100% honest here.
He did specify it was a brand that he saw Hangman drinking.
Okay, and the thing is that if you're gonna make accusations, there's gotta be more solid proof than I have a hunch. I was like, that's cute and all, but from a writing standpoint, that's the weakest motivation that you can for I'll call it a murder mystery, I guess, in air quotes. Sure. We're trying to figure out who murdered MJ's face with this bottle.
I'm not judging. You're absolutely right, but when we're in pro wrestling land, and wild accusations are thrown around just because. I don't know. I agree with you, though. I wish they would let some of this breathe. We talked about this last week, I think. That was
my biggest issue. We had it last week, and then we're just like, all right, let's run down the suspect list. I was just like, I feel that somebody's pushing through this story because we want to get through it.
So this obviously has nothing to do with the fact that a former WWE guy fired a bunch of people from the original AEW staff, and then they're not turning toward WWE style storytelling or anything else. It definitely feels like this is just a blip in the road, that obviously they're not trying to be something they're not. Because why would that work at all?
Yeah, and I mean, you're not losing money hand over fist just because, and you're not, $34 million in the hole because...
That's a drop in the bucket. What are you talking about?
I mean, the Khans could own everything at this point if they wanted
Honestly.
to.
Sure, but if they want to go full McMahon and just make it, this is my monopoly board, fine, but then they're going to lose everybody.
Yeah.
Some folks aren't going to put up with that.
Bottom line, I like Samoa Joe talking. Hangman Page is cool. I like Roderick Strong. Still have a little bit of PTSD from Adam all over the place.
And Hangman Page.
It's not Roderick Strong's fault. I blame the masses. The masses ruined it for me, especially the Full Gear audience. You guys were yelling it for the main event the whole 25 minutes. And I was ready to fight.
You know what I wasn't upset about, though? And this is, again, peak of the night for me. Aubrey Edwards' eyeshadow was on freaking point.
Yes!
Thank you.
She looked so good.
I was going to mention her probably later on when we were talking about the whole thing.
Yeah.
She was great ref-wise
all night.
last night.
All night.
She was all over the place. She was calling shots. She looked fire. She was trying to coach some of these matches into certain directions and help a few spots out here and there. That other dude, I don't know his name, who kind of reffed the rest of the night, kind of got lost and had a few moments where he was in the wrong spots for a few of these things that looked like here and there.
Bryce Rimpensburg, probably.
Yeah,
Bryce.
Bryce is one of them, but there was another guy too.
You're right. I forget the other
black
sleeves, but I can't remember.
I was going to say this. I thought she was all in. I mean, she always is, but like that was one of the things that I saw her working extra hard, which probably brings attention to the way the night was going.
It was. There was also one other thing that I caught, and this was all through the night it popped up, was the sign that said Simon Miller is afraid of the ring apron, which I love that sign, and Simon Miller would call it out. So I'm very happy that he's getting that stuff out there because he deserves it. So
there was another, what was that, Andrade kill him in Spanish? That was just right in the front. I was like, oh, damn, that guy's not playing.
So all the stuff you're watching the back, but again, we're watching the background. We're not watching what's going on, including they transitioned directly into Hangman Page versus Roddy Strong, which was a brutal little match there because Hangman's actually getting a lot more angry in his matches and going after that stuff, including using the Deadeye to take Roddy out on his neck. Like, perfect in that way.
I did not dislike this first match. I enjoy watching Roderick Strong. I think Strong, sorry, consonants or anything.
Roderick Strong.
Again, what's hard is I think Shivani and Taz sometimes push it a little too hard when the energy's not quite there and they don't need to. Mikey's already getting spicy and ready to throw up on himself.
Because Taz is part of Next Strong, as we all heard the whole time.
Right. And then there's this sort of like, they knew each other in ROH. They knew each other in ROH. It's like, I know. I heard you the first time, my friend.
He's his young boy. Did you hear he's his young boy?
Look at them. They know each other. Yeah. Oh my God. Look at me. I'm 4'9". You know, I get it. Okay.
Taz, I'm dumb, not stupid. Okay. I hate Taz's. I've been hating Taz's commentary for like the last few months. This is not great.
What's hard is I don't hate Taz. That's what's rough on me anyway. Sometimes Taz.
I don't hate Taz. I just hate the words that come out of his mouth on commentary.
I'm not sure if it's the Vince McMahon earbud thing that's going on with Taz or if he's just off the cuff all the time. But what's interesting is sometimes even Excalibur gets shut down by stuff Taz says, and Excalibur's like, well, I have nothing to say. Articulate after that. Thanks. Oh, look at this thing.
Yeah, you shoved your foot in your mouth, and now we got to dig ourselves out of that. Awesome.
But not to rag on Taz so early in said podcast because we're going somewhere. But yeah, I didn't hate this match. Everything else from here,
It was
but
a
it
good
is.
opener.
It is the falling action, this match.
The match after wasn't bad either. And getting a blue match from, the blue card of the Continental Classic wasn't bad. And seeing Andrade versus Brody King in that slap fest, like, oh my God, working that really hard. And I honestly, yes, it's good Andrade won. I feel like this could have been one of the draw matches that would have been very interesting, but Brody took a beating for him, and it seemed like they were having fun doing it.
Yeah, I like seeing Brody King. We haven't seen House of Black proper in a while, right? Like they've disappeared.
Well,
Yeah, if you're watching Collision,
Sorry, I'm not on the Collision team. I apologize.
I'm not either.
you don't
I'm
have
just
to
saying.
be. You could keep up though.
I know. Bad.
No, but Buddy and Malachi are currently in a feud with FTR, which I'm kind of here for.
That sounds like it would work.
Kicking FTR bald and FTR assault charge in the face. It's kind of great.
Dude rocking bright white pants and a belt, just going out there and destroying other humans. I thought that was great. There are some great moves in this match. I think that about midway through, I felt they were a little out of sync. There was a boot that kind of missed, and Taz was like, oh, he just grazed him on the chin. And then they went and did something else, and then Brody absolutely missed the next thing, and they're both look at each other for a second, and then they try to catch up a little bit later. But they went for some big spots near the ends, and they were still fighting through whatever weird energy was in the space, I feel.
Oh, yeah.
But it was fun. I liked watching them both go. Like, how tall is Andrade?
He's got to be like 6'5", 6'6".
He's gotta
Fact
be
check is on the J's.
Go get him, Mikey. Which, shout out to Andrade being, my mom's maiden name for all them Andrades out there. Not a lot of you, at least in the States. You are in various other countries. So that's, again, I like this match, but it still had that sort of, we're creeping lower feel. And that's a shame because they were acting the hell out of it. They were selling everything they could. And we go to Mikey live. Mikey, what'd you find out?
Yes, Mikey.
Andrade is 5'9".
Really? Wow, he
Really?
seems a lot taller.
5'9"? Like, you
Yep.
cannot ride this ride?
I mean,
Except if you're Charlotte Flair.
well, who knows if they're still riding that ride
Andrade's
together.
5'9"? No, then how tall's Brody? I thought Brody was like 18 feet tall.
I got you. Hold up. Let me look this up. Brody.
As I will say on this, though, you're right, though, Professor. This entire part felt like after the first match, the plane's engines cut out, and we were gliding toward a crash.
Literally,
The battery and the drone stopped?
Jump the shark, jump the cliff, jump into the fish tank. Everything just. Brody King is 6'3".
King was much more of an ogre than that.
I thought he was as big as The Undertaker. He's shorter than The Undertaker. That's
so
ridiculous.
Andrade being 5'9" and looking like that? Dude, that man.
So if you want to find something funny, Malachi and Buddy are both taller than Andrade.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, that makes sense there.
Wow, fascinating.
Mox is taller than Andrade? Damn. So is Kingston?
This is now Wrestlers Heights podcast. We're not talking about the Stamp Show. We're just going to go into the Wrestler Heights at this point because
Arby's only an inch shorter.
we're dropping to a new low. We're in Texas. The movie's coming out, so they have the Von Erichs pop up on our screens to do a backstage interview, the last remaining Von Erich and his sons. And it's rambling. It's very, world-class championship wrestling of the 70s. And we have Danhausen and Orange Cassidy and the best friends come in. And I love this part of it because they all came in there. Orange Cassidy's teasing he's going to team with the Von Erichs on Rampage, which is great. And I love the little nugget of they all put their hands into the end. Danhausen's getting everyone to put their hands in, and the best friends are kind of left out and not able to get in there at the time. So this is all shifting.
Hate it. I think it was more for the crowd that was staying for Rampage after the fact because that's recorded the same night, right? Is that the whole night?
Yeah,
Right.
it's all-
I think that was more for the folks in the crowd than it was for us on the viewing audience. If I had taken just a random number generator and was like, just pick 8 wrestlers and put them on the screen, that's what it felt like to me. Just sort of like, none of these things should ever be within the same space. And all of a sudden they were. And there's Hausen just staring right at the camera.
Come on, everybody, put your hands in. It was bucket hat too. I love he's wearing the bucket hat. It's so good. Continuity.
It's goofy wrestling for me, and I like the goofy wrestling stuff, so I didn't hate it. But you can tell the old man was like, "What's happening?" So
I used to live in a tree.
This is wrestling now.
Really so.
Okay. I'm gonna walk home. See ya. Dude was just not. Put your hands in, and he was sort of like, really? This is what we're doing? I don't know. I mean, and then Renee just, hi, this is my life. Like, yeah, that's rough. Good luck, Renee.
I mean, Mike, you witnessed history on TV today. You got to see, a bunch of different things that went up against the Fed all together in one place. I mean, how'd you feel?
Sure. Listen, I have no attachment to the Von Erichs like some people do, so I was just like, this is cool. Okay.
I'm interested in the movie, and I knew the Von Erichs.
That part, yes.
My dad and his brothers followed wrestling to a degree, so I kind of knew the Von Erichs. I knew some of these family things. I knew some of the tragedy there and some of the craziness there for sure. It's a trip that 40 years later they're in the popular zeitgeist because of that film and Zac Efron and the work they've done to do that. So I'm actually intrigued.
Not to mention our own Maxwell Jacob Freeman has a producer credit on this thing too.
And Chavo Guerrero did all the stuff there for that. So
so
we all lived closer to each other. I would say this would be a Bi-Conics outing to go see the movie together and check it out.
When it comes to streaming, we're gonna stream this.
It'd be perfect. But
Mr. Science Theater ourselves.
I feel like for the next promo though, we probably should have done that anyways because this is what the internet has come to downtown.
Here we go.
So before commercial, Kenny Omega's music hit. Like, oh, this is gonna be amazing. He's coming out now. It's gonna be great. And they cut to commercial, and we wait 2-3 minutes, and we come back, and Chris Jericho's music is finished, and they're both in the ring. I'm like, oh great, the Golden Jets are back together. I forgot about this storyline because it hadn't been on my TV screen for 2.5 weeks.
Question.
Yes.
Why Golden Jets?
Exactly. So they went ahead and they put, why is everything golden? Kenny Omega Golden Lovers, and they're both from Winnipeg, so therefore Jets.
I mean, I thought they were into way cooler stuff than that.
No, and that's why they made the Winnipeg Jets joke. So from what I got from this, from watching Simon Miller and a bunch of other stuff too, you really got to see that while Kenny Omega is a very personable person on the mic, and he ramble and do stuff, he really connects with the audience in certain ways. When he's in a scripted WWE style like promo battle, his kind of way of talking over people and doing that just doesn't fit. And when you're up there with Chris Jericho, who's trying to get stuff in, who at the end of this also, remember, they're going offline, he yells out, December 30th, remember there's a pay-per-view, because they forgot to put that in there because no one said anything. This was going to be a hell of a thing. But they start off together, kind of like running down why they're together, what's going on, how it's been. And they're interrupted by the Pebble and the Large William, and they still don't have a team name. They're basically together like that, and it's called out. And so now there's a promo battle back and forth about loving Kenny Omega for starting AEW, hating Chris Jericho, why are they here, insult, 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 Enzo Amore is better than you, stop talking, and the only one coming out of this smelling like roses is Enzo freaking Amore.
But they're dumb insults. Like, it wasn't even like they were well-written or scripted or bump set spike or punchline anything. It was just, I'm going to say this out loud, words, words, words. I don't think they talked to each other before this promo.
They obviously didn't. I don't think they even looked at each other in the back.
I don't remember Bill being that rough on the mic. Is that new to me or you all?
He doesn't talk.
I've never heard him talk, really, but I'm trying to think. I don't know if I've seen him cut anything before. I remember Lollipop Guy for a while, but
after he and Enzo broke up, they tried to have him talk and do that stuff, and even with help with people like Bryan Danielson and stuff like that he was working with, he never could grab the charisma end of it. He was always just, I'm tall and you can't teach that, and it never
Riz, as the kids say today.
Well, thank you for bringing that up.
I don't know. Everything he said, I was just like, oh man, just stand over there.
Mikey, the writer in our group, I have to know.
Oh, this is Spicy Mikey.
Okay.
Mikey Picante. Oh, the glasses are off. Oh, God.
This immediately means something's going to go wrong.
The hat's still... Oh, the hat's off.
The hat makes him too hot. Therefore, he has to...
There go.
The earbuds out?
Oh, he's not gonna, oh no, the imaginary tie. Yep, okay. Love it. Yep, getting ready here. Cracks the knuckles, and...
This was complete ass, ladies and gentlemen and non-binary folks of the internet.
Like both cheeks ass? Like full-on ass?
Okay, so let me break this down for you. Please. Again, I don't claim to be the best writer in the world, but Lord have mercy, an illiterate third grader could have written this better than what AEW's writers are currently doing. Are you sure you didn't pick up the WWE people that got let go all of those couple of months in terms of your writing staff, Tony Khan?
Wow.
This is how you make me, one, I didn't already care about this feud to begin with, but it hurts because 3 out of the 4 people involved I actually really like. Chris Jericho is, but I've already said my piece on how I feel about the black hole that is Chris Jericho and feuds in AEW. It frustrates me because Kenny is stuck in this feud. At least Kenny's on my screen, but this does nothing for him. You took this wind out of any momentum that Ricky Starks had you know, he was hot during the summer, man.
Sure.
Like, and then also, even though it doesn't really mean anything, winning the Owen Hart and then turning heel and having these incredible matches with the likes of Danielson and just being a complete heel and being the douchey character that I knew he could be. And then as soon as he won the tag team titles, we literally rip him away from television. We stick him in this program. Once again, we're not giving Ricky Starks the time to shine. Like,
Sure.
And it's the same issue that I see with a bunch of people. They get a little bit of momentum and then we throw them into some sort of tag program just cause.
Didn't he have a Chris Jericho feud a year ago?
Yeah, and he beat, they brought it up. He beat Chris Jericho twice.
Right. And
once on a Dynamite and once on a pay-per-view.
And we talked about that because the build-up to that, if I remember, was pretty solid, but then it just kind of fizzled out and it was done. It was like, what were we doing? If I'm not mistaken, that's going way back.
So that's what frustrates me about this whole thing. Poor Big Bill, man. I was just like, we throw you in, you get put in a faction, you get taken out of said faction. You were doing really great in a team with, you know, Tyga Style himself down in Ring of Honor, which I personally love that little tag team that we got. And then, of course, they got ripped away and then stick it with Ricky, which I was like, okay, not necessarily my favorite pairing, but you know what? I want to be optimistic. The optimism is completely gone because Tony Khan and whoever is booking the storyline royally fucked this up big time. Sure. This makes me not care about this feud. And once again, I'm going to channel Andrew, one of our other co-hosts here. AEW does not care about tag team wrestling the way that it should. And it's sad. How do we go from having one of the greatest trilogies across all the promotions last year with FTR and Briscoes to a wet ass fart that is what has been these tag team title reigns? And not to mention, another promotion's tag team titles are being held hostage by your main champion in AEW. Good job, Tony Khan. Such a stellar job. I'm super proud of you that you've royally fucked tag team wrestling. Are you sure you didn't channel the ghost of Vince McMahon? Because that's what it's giving me here. Vince didn't care about tag team wrestling. Tony Khan doesn't care about women's wrestling and tag team wrestling as well. So Tony Khan, either find somebody else to write and book for you, or, I don't know, I can't believe I'm going to say this because I don't take my own advice, but let some things go. Let other people do certain jobs you don't need to. And this is coming from me, the boss of the Bi-Conics.
Mikey, you are not our Tony Khan. Please.
You are not Tony Khan.
Hi, don't say such horrible things about yourself.
Go in our comments, fans. Let Mikey know that he is not our Tony Khan. Mikey is very much loved here.
You cut way better promos than that guy. You are so not that guy.
You don't look always down the lens like you're afraid to speak. It's great.
But my final statement in all this is I really, really hated this promo. It did nothing for no one. And you made me not care about the match that we're getting at World's End. And this is the same thing I say all the time with Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision. I know when we get to the AEW pay-per-views, the wrestling is, for most part, going to be stellar. I'm excited about the in-ring work. We need to fix characters and storylines. Listen, I've already suspended my disbelief with half of the character gimmicks we see in AEW. And I love that. But you gotta make me care beyond the gimmick and the base level of what these characters are. Timeless Tony Storm is one of my favorite characters right now. You got in AEW right now. Now let's create some good storylines to give nuance and depth to all of this. Let's go from the kiddie pool and let's dive deep into it. Like, I don't care. Even if we jump the shark, I'm fine with that. Take a risk, Tony Khan. Stop being safe and use your talent proper, because there are a bunch of other companies that are willing to take these talented people. And I'm going to be honest, you are looking at a Hunter and a Scott D'Amore who are not playing around anymore. So you got to do something, because, bro, sidebar, you get Kushida. Listen, I don't care. I'm so excited for TNA because they're making moves, because AEW, once again, fucked up signing people. How do you lose Trent Seven? TNA signed him and they signed Kushida within 2 days. Like, that's how bad this is. I was like, Tony Khan, you had them in your promotion not that long ago. Sir, what are we doing? But overall, I hate this feud. The tag team championships in AEW is dead, just like my soul. So I hated this. This was the worst part, and it took a really long time for me to get over it. And then the next match didn't make me feel better anyways.
And that's the thing, is we went from doing a belly flop in a 2-foot pool to going into trying to escape out of a non-existent ladder out of that pool, not because of the fact that we were swimming incorrectly, but because we were in this too short. These two could have worked an amazing match, being given another 2 to 3 minutes at minimum, but we got our contractually obligated one women's match of the night. Thank you, David Zaslav, because you're making us work for it. And we had Riho versus Ruby Soho with Timeless Toni Storm on commentary, and it would have been so much more.
The only thing that I remember about this match was the fact that Taz was talking to Tony about the gout incident. I was like, sir, you have a women's match to commentate, but Taz, it doesn't surprise me. You don't really care about women's wrestling. Given your history.
Yeah. I just felt like they all checked out, which is a shame. I thought Toni Storm was actually engaging with them and trying to, and they didn't know how to respond or what to do, which is kind of shitty. She called him the Tasmanian, which was kind of funny.
So good.
Oh, the Tasmanian. And then they just let it drop. It was like, oh, don't
negate the premise. She gave you gold there, Taz. Jesus.
And it was like, oh yeah, great. Like, they don't even want to play back, which is
again
dumb.
Great characters, great gimmicks, piss storytelling.
Meanwhile, Rio's bumping her ass off for Ruby, and they're doing amazing in the ring. And if they had another 2 minutes there, they could have actually gone home to something fun.
Sure. I enjoyed watching Rio because I wasn't around when Rio was here before, so this is my first introduction to her.
Introduction to Rio.
When I went to rewatch it, I missed it because I was fast forwarding and jumping to things. I went, "Where's the Tony? Oh, here it is!" And then it was gone.
Yeah.
So I hit the YouTube TV button one too many times and went, "Oh, is it that short?" They did not get any time, I don't think. No. So it felt a little rushed. I don't think it was as polished as they would have liked. They still worked really well. Rio did impress me. I was like, yeah, she's fun. Okay, cool.
Joshi wrestling.
It's Joshi wrestling, but it works well with Ruby's style because Ruby's also a brawler, and she could take it to Rio, who's smaller. And also the whole playing up of like Saraya not being down there. There's storylines built there. And when you look at last week where they gave Toni Storm and Sky Blue 10 minutes to do the full match, it was built wonderfully. It wasn't the best ever either, but it was still a great expression of what you can do with women's wrestling. This was like, we needed to fill the time. Kenny ran long in his little wet fart, so we've got to pull it from the women's match, whereas you could have pulled the next promo out, because who the frick cares about Wardlow?
Okay, before we get into Wardlow's like depressive decline since coming back, I just want to point something out to my co-hosts and to the audience. Remember when we heard the title of the December show, Winter is Coming? Is normally we would get super excited about this.
Every year.
Winter is coming this year. It died. It burnt out. No Sting did not help. I was like, how do you not have Sting on Winter is Coming? Whatever. That's not the point at this point.
Anyways, was a premature winter.
Just like bringing back Wardlow was a premature thought, apparently. What are we doing? Like, this is the same, excuse my French, fucking promo that we've been getting for the last 2.5 months from Wardlow, and it's making me actually not like him anymore as a character, and that's not his fault. The way that he's being presented, the way that we are cutting these like pre-recorded promos, I was like, listen, he wants to get his hands on Max, like, but you want to put fine, whatever, Samoa Joe, sure, why not? Listen, Tony Khan, either this is me, this is an educator, this is a Mexican, I'm just telling you this is with Wardlow right now, it is a shit or get off the pot moment. Either let them have the match or let Wardlow go and do something else in AEW. You're literally stringing him along like that ex-girlfriend that you never call back after a couple of dates. Like, that's literally what this is. You are gaslighting this man's into wanting to get after MJF, but you're teasing the kid. Like, pull the trigger or let him go.
Professor, do you feel like, since you had time off, do you feel like you missed anything with Wardlow or like picked up anything new out of what you've seen?
No, other than I forgot what he looked like and how big he was. And I was like,
I feel like he got smaller, bro. I was like,
he's that big guy wearing the Andre the Giant thing, right? Oh yeah, there he is. Oh yeah, great. Like, so I remember Wardlow long time ago, I want to say. But where was Wardlow before AEW?
He was on the Indies.
Is he an indie guy or has he always been AEW?
He's always been AEW as far as we know for the whole thing, because he was Maxwell Jacob Friedman's bodyguard for like a year and a half.
Oh, that's what
and
I'm
it was
thinking.
a great storytelling moment when he
right.
turned on him.
Thank you.
It was beautiful. And then from that to this
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a Dark Side of the Ring documentary waiting to happen.
And it's tough because he's obviously talented. He's a big hunk of man meat. He knows how to work the ring.
Him and his really long pasties for his nips.
I know, right? We had a similar conversation a few months back with our other Bi-Conics member, Luis, about carrying cross. And I think it's something similar where it's sort of you're being booked and steered a weird direction that doesn't suit you. And since you're not playing along, I don't know if I want to use you. And that's a different conversation. We can talk about that because I think both of them are professionals and good at what they do, obviously. Yeah. But the fact that this was half the length of the women's match we just saw need to be there. So
now, Mikey,
that's mismanagement.
I do want to ask you, Mikey, as well. Something pinged for me during this. A lot of the language they were using, because obviously he's involved in the Devil storyline, but it made it seem like this was a Miro promo, not a Wardlow promo. Like he was like going down the Redeemer path. I'm like, this is not you at all.
Well, considering the fact that for some odd reason that Tony Khan doesn't want to let Miro, actually do anything now because his hot and flexible wife is tied up with Andrade and whatnot. Again, another wasted potential right there, because I got excited after that match we had between him and Powerhouse Hobbs at All Out, but again, wasted potential. Again, this is the assassination of Wardlow's character. I fucking hate this for this man because I really like him and I don't blame him for what's happening, but Lord have mercy. Security comes get the writers in the back. We need to have a talk with them seriously.
And
Tony,
there are other
serious. Let me write for you for a week. I promise to do something better.
And there's other outlets that have been talking about this stuff, particularly because it's the end of the year wrap-ups, because that's where we are, about this sort of strange writing and booking in AEW. And it shows up on all of the nights, absolutely. But for some reason on Dynamite, it's really noticeable because Dynamite is still kind of the flagship thing. So that's where everyone's tuning in for the AEW stuff. So a lot of the stuff that worked year 1, 2, now here year 4, correct? I'm not crazy? We're in year 4?
You're not crazy. Year 4.
Is now kind of getting way skewed out of control, and I'm not sure if it's folks in charge or turnover or what. Part of me wonders if Tony Khan is just laissez-faire and isn't as hands-on as Vince McMahon. But it's sort of, and we've talked about this about the other promotion, where it's like, who's in charge? Is this just the wrestlers show up in Texas? Everybody shows up in Texas and they know they have a match, but they go, all right, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And there's no through line. I don't know, but again, this is what we're talking about and not Dynamite, because that's what happened.
We did the assassination of character. We brought up that they're assassinating Wardlow's character. The next match was this entire Continental Classic has been the assassination of Jay Lethal.
Okay.
He's just been in there to take loss.
I really want to talk about Jay Lethal and Briscoe tonight.
Listen, putting my feelings aside about the person behind the character of Jay Lethal, why do we have this man in this match if he's going to be taking pin after pin after pin? I didn't expect him to win this Continental Classic, but damn, him, Briscoe, and then I'm going to be completely honest too. I have some words over in the Blue League too. I'm like, how do you not let Daniel Garcia win one match? One.
So should we talk about them individually, or should we chunk these together? Because we're basically going to say the same things over and over.
We're going to say the same thing. I do want to bring up that Jay Lethal did fight Roosh, and Roosh gave him a lot to deal with. And
sure, I love
they're
Roosh.
giving Roosh a bit there because Roosh also needs to be pushed farther. So
Roosh
you're really in a corner with it, but
we can talk about it. I like Roosh a lot. Roosh has grown on me. Still some of the finest chops. And
chops from the bull are always delicious.
I love his fake out spot so much, where he goes to do the drop kick in the corner, stops, and then just massively kicks
that
him in the face.
first stomp onto Jay's face.
Was crazy.
Blah, blah, blah. This was a solid match. I did not hate it, but again, we keep getting this massive hype and then this plateau of, okay. I don't like the fact that Lethal or Briscoe are just jobbers in this tournament.
No.
I think that's a wasted opportunity. I think you could have had a lot of plot lines in here, and it makes your scorecard look weird and boring that there's a whole line that's just zeros. And then the announcers are trying to sell it, and Shivani's trying to go, they're fighting for pride. He's got to get one of them. Blah, 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 blah. And it's like, wow.
If I was in Jay Lethal's position, I was like, I know I'm not going to win, but now I want to I'll make this character interesting and just be like, all right, I'm going to be a menace out here. It's like, if I can't win, you can't win. I'm going to take you down with me.
And this came up in the match later on. I was like, well, if you're already lost, then go take the DQ and take him out. Go get the chair and crush somebody. Or go run it to a draw and make it awkward. That's fine. And I don't know why Jay Lethal decided to strut knowing he was going to take the pin. Okay. I didn't like... I don't like that Jeff Jarrett faction anyway.
Team TNA.
Sorry, thank you. It just kind of falls flat to me. If this is the beginning of Jay Lethal going, you know what, I don't need you, I'm gonna do this on my own, then maybe that's worth it.
But he's not winning.
It's like a certain Kingston told him this months ago, but they did nothing with it.
Sure.
Yep.
So,
which is similar to what happened in the next match with Jay White taking on Mark Briscoe, which Jay White needed to win because he's been knocked down the card again, even though he shouldn't have been, and at the expense of Mark Briscoe. So all of a sudden we're drowning another like babyface favorite who will not go out and actually make himself be the spoiler.
No, which is depressing.
This made me really sad. I really like Briscoe since I've started watching wrestling again and going into that, and him and his brother, my heart goes out to him and his family every single time. He's just having so much fun. Even though he looks twice my age, he's having so much fun. He's killing it.
Yeah, I will say I enjoyed this match a little bit better than Rush and Jay Lethal. And honestly, I'm going to be honest. I think Andrade and Brody was probably my favorite match this whole entire evening in terms of all the Continental Classic matches. Well, no. Okay, I got to be objective. I like the main event until we get to the ending because then I'm going to have words. I'm
going to disagree with you about it too, which is even better.
I think the women's match should have been the match of the night, but they gave them 4 minutes. If that was a 10-minute, that probably would have been it.
Yeah, it was the match of the knee.
You know what I mean?
It was match of the knee.
I think it's a shame that Jay and Briscoe are jobbing this championship, whatever.
The C2.
Thing. Thank you. I was like, C2. I don't think they need to do that to these wrestlers. And they're not... Do it for a reason. You're not selling any storylines. You're not doing anything with it. If it's a guy's hurt and he has to go in hurt but keeps losing, I'm rooting for you. We're back to what Mikey was talking about. Give me a rooting interest in something.
Give me stakes in something.
Anything. I mean, it's not me, but if my booking hat was on and it was like, okay, you're not going to lose every single match. You're going to draw each one. So you're going to get 5 points in all these ones.
Which will also get very frustrating. You get very frustrated with that too. Like, how can I not beat these people? And I keep drawing. Like, I'm not bad. I just can't get out of it.
So I wonder who's running this thing. Because again, it seems like Tony Khan's hands are off the wheel. Sorry, not a lot of words. So that's kind of a downer. And what's hard is about halfway through each of these matches, I don't know about you, but me, I had that feeling in my gut like, oh, they're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Oh, they're going to do him dirty. He's going to lose this, isn't he? No, he's going to... And I was right both times. And I was like, come on.
Oh, yeah. Well, and we were not... A lot of us weren't right about the next match after that. Our main event, which was, again, another C2. It was 3 C2 matches in a row. And we got Moxley versus Swerve, which was amazing. 2 undefeated guys. They've never fought each other in a while. It really was cool to set up. And I know, Mikey, you're going to go off in the ending like most of the people did here, but they wrestled a hell of a match together, and they put together some of the best spots that way.
I want to... 2 things before Mikey goes spicy.
He's been there the whole time.
I can already feel it. 2 things. 1, it's been a long time since I've heard a Dynamite match hyped like this one.
Yeah.
Where all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, I can't wait till next Wednesday.
Yeah.
So that for sure. 1, I feel like the first half of this was like a pro wrestler's wrestling match, if that makes any sense. There's like a comedian's comedian, or that's an actor's actor. This was a wrestler's wrestling match. That first, I don't know, maybe 8-9 minutes or so was sort of like, we're not going to call shots. We're going to catch a little here and there. We're just going to flow and feel some stuff. I'm going to get you. You're going to get me. We're going to do some chops. And I was quite enamoring, in my opinion. It got off the rails all of a sudden about halfway through, and then didn't make any sense to me after that, which is unfortunate because I like those 2 a lot. I've really warmed up to both of them.
Yeah, I think I know where you're going with that, because it seems like because of the way they ended the match, they're trying to like set Swerve on a babyface, like come from behind thing.
That's
but
very
he's not a babyface. He's a down and dirty heel, or at best, the dark side of a tweener. Like, he is very much not wanting to be loved by the crowd. And if anyone could carry the babyface, like, come from behind thing, you give it to Mox, which makes more sense.
But they're both kind of in that same place to me, though.
Right,
That dark side of tween. Because they're still chanting Swerve's house during the match. Like, they were.
He's the cool heel to like, which is why, Mikey, before you go off, I'm going to say my piece that's could disconnect with you. I was happy with what they did here. It pissed me off that he dug deep to cheat that way, and he couldn't beat him. Like, I want to see Swerve come in and DQ his ass somewhere else, or do something else to him in this tournament. And it makes me angry about the matches, not in a way where, like, I'm angry about, like, why did you book it this way? But I'm angry. I want Swerve to kill people now and go out there and drive them down. It's not the best outcome, but I enjoyed it. Weirdly. Mikey, tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, Mikey, you look like Grumpy Cat.
Oh, the glasses are going to come off again. Not again.
No, not this time. I actually don't disagree with you 100%. So,
What?
well,
Please,
hear me
disagree
out.
with me.
No, you masochist. I'm not going to do that to you.
That was funny.
It's like, put it away. It's a different time.
Oh, okay. My safe word is banana.
So I have to be objective here. So when I was watching it last night, upon first viewing, I was upset. And I went to places that, looking back on it, I really shouldn't have, because that's not what it was. Because, once again, I'm like, why we gotta bury the minority? Like, come on.
Sure.
Like, what is
Yeah.
happening? I was like, white baby meat, like, champions. I was just like,
baby meat.
Listen, I have never supported Swerve more than I have now after he cut that promo where he said, I want to be AEW's first black world champion. I was like, it's been 3.5, 4 years. Why has that not happened yet? I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah.
So I was upset. But then I rewatched the match and I thought about it from a booking standpoint and what I would have done if I was working for AEW. And honestly, I would have done the same outcome. But this is where my concern lies. And then this is where I got a little bit frustrated, because I don't mind Swerve losing here, because Mox is the final boss of anybody, any talent. If you can get one over on Mox, then you officially are about to head towards stardom. Or
if you accidentally concussed him and do the move again. But let's move on.
I mean,
Yeah, thank you, Phoenix.
yeah, there was a lot of blame in that one. My frustration and my biggest fear is that I'm looking past this tournament. So everything goes down. Whoever ends up being the Triple Crown champion, my money is still on Eddie Kingston, because at least Blue League is not predictable of what's happening, because there are way too many people that are way too close, and lots of things can happen in the Blue League. And you literally have set it up perfectly for Kingston to have a come-from-behind victory to win
Right.
Blue League.
But
that
the
makes
Gold
it more
League-
engaging.
The Gold League is just a blowout.
See, and here's...
sorry.
I said this when they made the announcement of who was participating in each league, because if we remember the group chat that I sent, I was just like, Gold League has probably some of the bigger stars in AEW right now, and it's about to be fire, and Blue League is going to have some fun stuff. And as we're getting close to the end of this, I think Blue League, for me, has been more entertaining than Gold League, because it's not as predictable. And that's what tournaments like this are supposed to do. That's why I love watching the G1, because I never know who's going to win. Like, they finally pulled the trigger. I didn't think they were going to do it this year, but, you know, Tetsuya Naito winning that tournament was something that everyone has wanted for a long time, and he always got close, but he didn't do it. And then this year he happened to do it, which I was not expecting it. But you made the tournament matter, and then you had some big baller names, like the Final Four were him, Will Ospreay, like I believe Okada was also in the Final Four too. Like, these are big names. And if this is a tournament style you want to keep doing, you gotta find ways to make it more interesting and not predictable. Because, so Mox being the final boss for AEW is fine. Where I'm worried is once this tournament is done and over, and whatever happens with the inaugural Triple Crown, what do we do with Swerve? Like, my biggest fear is that we do all this. He had such a momentum, but just like all the other stars that we've seen get momentum this year in 2023, they get forgotten about, they get thrown to the wayside because, oh, we got to do another Chris Jericho storyline.
Sure.
And for me, that frustrates me because Swerve is has all the rocket strapped to him, and he's already like in the stratosphere, in the stars. Like he is, like JBL said, he's the cool heel you want to like. But for those of us who know his story and how he had to go through everything to get to the major leagues by being an indie darling and doing pretty much the Darby Allin run of doing anything and everything. I also call that the Speedball Mike Bailey run, where you do anything and everything on the independents. You do multiple shows just to get noticed. So he gets signed to AEW. He's making himself over. He's doing amazing things. My biggest fear is, and I'm biased because I love Swerve a lot, but I have the same issue with lots of other stars that have come and gone from, the rocket gets cut out from underneath them. What happens with Swerve? And honestly, what did we do with the rest of the participants? Because you made Jay Lethal and Mark Briscoe in this whole entire tournament look like nothing but goobers.
Mm-hmm.
Like Daniel Garcia looks like a dweeb because he hasn't won anything. And then, like, the people I thought were going to do amazing, like Roosh is kind of like the only real people that I'm still excited about right now is everyone in the Blue League. Like Brody, sure. Andrade, and Eddie are like my three. And I'm wanting to root to see where they go with all this.
So I don't want to accuse anyone of this, but I'm going to say this to you too, because I would love your opinion on it. Do you think some of these choices are to, what's the word? I don't want to say punish, because that's not what I mean. But that sort of backhanded booking that other promotions do, where it's sort of like, I'm gonna get you in line by messing with your booking, or do this sort of thing and get you in here, or bury you in a way. I don't get that feeling, because if it was that, it was just I would have you do AEW Dark and nobody would ever notice you. But there's something so specific to me about it. Why would you do that to some of these folks and not even give them any chance? It's gotta be. Am I crazy? Is that to Pepe Silva? Like, there's something here that's not quite.
No, I don't think anyone's getting punished, but I do think some weirdness is going on. So, listen, again, putting my bias about the actual human being of Jay Lethal, it's kind of weird that you don't have many win. But I can kind of chalk that up as like, okay, well, he's with Jeff Jarrett, so they're a clown faction, so like I don't need to take them that seriously. But then
does these great matches though.
Right.
Yeah.
But then I look at somebody like Daniel Garcia and Mark Briscoe, who, in my opinion, have done amazing things in 2023 and have continually proved themselves to be great wrestlers and great entertainers.
Mm-hmm.
But you are basically jobbing them out to the other folks in this tournament. And again, there's going to be some losers in this tournament, which is bound to happen. But you can't let it all fall on like 3 people all the time. And it still makes me mad that the phrase mathematically eliminated is being used. I was like, they're mathematically eliminated because whoever's booking this tournament is doing a crap job at making me excited about this.
So I'm glad you said that, because something stupid to me was Moxley getting the chair.
Yeah.
Because if this is a competition and you're trying to win, that's when I was like, okay, come on, guys. You're just doing stuff now. And sort of, I'm going to take this chair and get disqualified. And then the announcers were trying to skew it and be like, Moxley's going to get disqualified and give points to Swerve, right?
Yeah.
So there's a few things that if you're going to go all in on this, you're going to go all in on this. I'm kind of over dudes sitting in the chair and getting rocked. And that's just me. I've seen it too many times now. It's not interesting to me. I think Moxley just did that last week. Wasn't he sitting in a chair? And then
there was the random like special chair during the that he just like found.
I'm gonna sit in a chair. Oh no! I was like, come on. Okay, it's funny. Fine. I agree with everything you said, Mikey. And that was so. Again, the first half of this match I thought was really solid. The second half, okay, kind of went off the little rails for me. Fine. The ending, which we're all talking about, was his shoulder up. Did Moxley cheat? All these other things. I don't know. It was so muddy to me, I couldn't pick a plot line, if that makes sense.
I don't think they could either.
It happened so fast, and it was sort of a combination of, well, do we want the ref to mess it up? Do we want Moxley to cheat? Or do we want something else to happen? It's like, well, let's do all 3 of those. Like,
give herself an out.
I thought it was interesting that Moxley
did pick a lane and exit off the freeway. That was this match.
Oh, no, I'm driving through all 3 lanes sideways. Is what
Has anything gone to a draw yet?
No.
So, okay, this would have been a great opportunity for a 1 point.
Yep.
Right? If this whole match ended with a 1 point, I would have been like, you know what? I see where they were going now. That makes sense.
But on top of that, you have the thing also, they're both undefeated still. And so who's really better? Now you can do that later in the tournament.
That middle part I'm speaking to where I'm like, meh, I don't know how I feel about this, kind of would have gotten cleared up if that was where we were going. I'm like, oh, I see. They can't match each other. Fine. And then I think Moxley was trying to cover it came off to me as Moxley covering a botch by going, by any means necessary at the end, looking at the camera, right? It didn't feel like he cheated. It felt like they messed it up.
I don't know. He did pull the tights. So, I mean, there was a whole thing to show that he was cheating. So that was the whole point of it.
Yeah, but sure. But Swerve's shoulder wasn't on the ground.
Exactly. So his cheating didn't work.
I can't.
This was a weird. Yeah, this was weird.
Was,
expression at the end of the match was me. I was just like, "What happened? How did we get here?"
Exactly. And I took that as a genuine like.
I don't think that was supposed to go down.
Literally, this is the meme of the car going across 3 lanes trying to get off the intersections. You got the stuff here like Swerve referee bump. Like it's all there. But
speaking of cars going off the rails, the way we ended though.
Okay, we're here. We made it.
Let's discuss this.
So Hangman goes through a mahogany door. If you get that joke, thanks for tuning in this long. Sorry.
JB. No, I'm not. Go ahead. I'm backing off and watching this happen. Come on.
All of a sudden, we're all confused by what did we just watch at the end of that match. And I actually had to go back and rewatch because I heard, the post-show drama. Oh, wait, there's more here? There's more. Adam Page is in a parking lot. It looks like he has a cooler.
Yeah.
Like he picks up something and just kind of throws it. So he's walking around in a parking lot with a cooler in the middle of the night, which, you're going to get jumped. He's jumped by a bunch of guys who I thought were in Harryhausen sweatshirts at first. And I was like, why are they wearing those? Oh, those have demons on it? Okay.
Yep, they're devils.
Gets jumped by a group of teenagers in sweatshirts, and Adam Page can't fight off said teenagers, and they're swinging and hurting, and Adam Page is overreacting and overacting and selling all of this. And then a very large person gets out of a very small car and is wearing a Groot mask they've painted gray, and that's the devil. And the devil just kind of stares at them, and then Adam Page gets picked up and then thrown into a windshield and kind of sells it, kind of feels pain, kind of notices it because he kind of missed the windshield. It wasn't in the window, it was there a little bit. So that didn't work the way they wanted to. And it was just sort of, this just happened, great. Now what?
Somebody called Jack Perry.
Somebody cry me a river. So I agree with a few people going, well, this narrows it down a little, unless Adam Page had himself beaten up, which is totally possible. Out of the car is much tall.
The best is we have no idea.
Yeah.
Like I'm not a math person. I'm not saying my perception's great, but when you watch that, whoever gets out of the car, they're towering over the car.
It's Kill Switch. It's Luchasaurus.
Oh my god.
Honestly, I will take that. That would be amazing.
We haven't seen Omos in a while. Did Omos jump shark?
No. Jump shark.
I will say this. On the one hand, I'm glad that AEW finally is revisiting the Devil storyline that they apparently forgot, at the beginning of MJF and Jay White's feud when Jay got jumped. I was like, oh, interesting. We're going to figure this out. A month and a half goes by. We don't get no mention of it. And then they're like, oh, we forgot to do this. We got until World's End. Let's quickly throw everything in there right now. And I'm just like, what are we doing? I'm like, I'm done with this. I was just like, hey, man, I love you, but this was horrible acting. This was not great.
No.
Everyone's like, oh my gosh, it's Jungle Boy. I'm turning off my television. If it's Samoa Joe, I will cry of happiness because oh my God, he played mental mind games, which is something I love my wrestlers doing. Play mind games, but it's not.
I think Samoa Joe would be really funny.
That would be.
Really
I would love Samoa Joe be like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna investigate who attacked my best friend. It was me all along.
But I think Adam Cole's too easy. I think MJF.
There are too many players in this because now the story has gone off the rails because it's like MJF gets attacked. We think Roderick Strong in the King. What are we doing with Roderick in the Kingdom? Like, I feel like at this point they no longer play a plot point in this whole entire storyline. Like, why did we take them away from Ring of Honor?
I wonder if, and you two, this is my conspiracy theory. You all can. I don't think they know who it is. They haven't decided who to make it because once Cole got hurt,
that threw everything out the window.
They changed it. And
shoot, let it be Britt Baker. That'd be hilarious.
She's gotten big then, really big and huge. So
she's on stilts.
Oh my gosh, it's Nyla Rose. No, I was kidding.
I mean,
listen, if it was not,
it's in a trench coat.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, Sakura and Riho in a trench coat.
I think it
all along.
Who? Oh yeah. By the way, coming back to this quickly, I have to say because you just brought that up, the Billy Starks reference in the bad promo, and the dead that hit. It wasn't like, ooh, that was a bad joke. Everyone there loves Billy Starks. It's like, why did you bring her up?
How
Why
dare
make it
you?
a bad thing?
None of those jokes hit. You look like you went into a Hot Topic and bought everything. Crickets. And the answer is
This
like,
is not the third grade.
yeah, that's how he looks. You're just saying things out loud now.
I'm done with this Dynamite.
We can also say things out loud. I think all three of us should say something out loud. What did we rate this piece of crap, Dynamite here? Going Mikey, Professor, myself. Give me your empanada scale. How much did you vomit? Honestly, let's hear about it.
You know, I get...
Go, Mikey, go. Mikey Spicy, go.
I said it the damn way we're supposed to go. Come on.
I was paying attention. I was taking notes. Nah, it's okay. I'm gonna let Professor... I'm actually gonna veto as the boss.
I messed up.
No, I'm gonna let you go first because I'm gonna... No, you know what? I take that back.
Are you trying to out Libra me? What's wrong with you, Mikey?
Nah, I wanted to make JBL mad and mission accomplished. I win. That's his punishment for not being able to review Ring of Honor the following day. That's his fault. But anyways, I give this a 2.8 empanadas out of 5, and here is why. I've already said this. For winter is coming. Lee, may I remind you, that is what this was. Winter is coming. It's like the big winter show for AEW as we head towards the end of the year. This was mid as all hell. Okay? Outside of the opening match and then, like, honestly, Andrade versus Bro, everything else was mid. But then we took a dive into me wanting to jump off a cliff, watching that way too long Golden Jets and, you know, knock off Rock and still, you know,
Large William.
Knock off
Large
Rock.
William. His name is Pebble now. It's not The Rock. Ricky Starks is the Pebble. And that
Pebble
is not...
They go Pebble and Bam Bam. They got the Warner Brothers contract. They could do that.
Honestly, I would be down for this tag team to be Pebbles and Bam Bam. Like, seriously, that'd be great. But everything else was mid. The disrespect to the women's division continued to run rampant on Dynamite television, specifically this week, where I wanted to throw things at not Tony Schiavone, Taz.
I mean,
Tony.
You absolutely
Tony,
can.
The only woman that succeeded tonight was Renee, in just being the backstage correspondent. That's the only ones who succeeded barely tonight. I hate this devil storyline. Samoa Joe is being thrown into this for no apparent freaking reason. I'm afraid that Swerve is going to be literally Swerve. You know, Swerve when he drives, he's about to swerve and drive off the cliff because Tony Khan is going to take the steering wheel and like lock it up because Swerve's momentum, I'm afraid, is going down. This is a 2.8. This, in the words of my friend, this was garbage, mama. This was garbage.
Professor, how about you?
So out of 10 empanadas on the empanada scale, I'm going to justify this. To me, if it's 1, 2, 3, that's because people got hurt and there were botches and it was rushed in a certain way, or there were things that were mechanically off and awful and not fixed and malicious intent. It's close to that. It might as well be there for me.
Right, there might be some malicious intent.
I think this is somewhere in that 4 out of 10 for me, 3, 5, 4 out of 10 to me. What really drops it low to me, and I know you think the same, I haven't been as consistent on this as I should have been. The way the women were treated in this Dynamite was awful to me. They were dismissive to Tony when she sat there next to them. I had a great opportunity to bring her in and let her do all these things. The cameramen caught all of it, and so you've just set yourself back months because of this 90 minutes. You know, you just totally bookended yourself into where are we going? What are we doing? And in my opinion, and I didn't say this earlier, I saved it for the end, you could kind of see it on everyone's faces that they were all kind of not happy or perturbed by that night, right? They tried to put it up, they tried to keep the energy going, but all of them couldn't mask it. It was just something about their faces, their reactions to each match, and when they did what they did, their hearts weren't in it, in my opinion. They all knew, like, we don't like any of this. We hate it. But I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do it anyway, and I'm going to give them a show, which they went for. But if you're watching it from home, you can kind of see that they were all, in my opinion, they were all a little checked out.
The morale backstage has always been brought up right now is pretty bad. Between trying to get the TV deal with Warner Brothers and all the other problems with the booking of everything else, it is a not toxic work environment, but it's gotten pretty bad there. So I'm not surprised to see that. And you're right, John. Everyone seems to have been like they were tired, burnt out, didn't want to be there. in a great place like Texas, like, they're going to love them for all they do. It wasn't a good thing. On your rating, I would have given it about a 3.5 in that respect, because it's at that thing for, malicious intent and all that stuff. But because with the women's match, it's a 2.5. There was malicious intent.
Yeah, sure.
There was that. So that's where I sit with it, and that's where I'm going to stay. But that's kind of where we're sitting with this. So thank you for sitting with us through this wet fart, because we sat through it with you. We here at the Bi-Conics enjoy sharing our wet farts with you because it makes you get closer to us. And, in general, we'd love to hear more about them in our comment section as you follow us on the socials, as you watch all our videos, get the alert bell there to be able to know what you're getting from us. But for these wet farts, Mikey, Professor, I am JVL. Remember, you're Bi-Conic. We're Bi-Conic, and we take our time to watch even these bad episodes together because we care about it, we enjoy it, and sometimes